How do we measure the value of a human life? Is it wealth? Is it power and prestige? Is it things learned and mastered? Is it degrees earned? I think it's love. Love that's given and love that's received. It's the thing that makes us truly human, is our ability to do that.
Visitation House is a home for women who are pregnant and they have nowhere else to go. We meet their physical needs, but we also try to work with the emotional and spiritual needs. Women come in broken, and we need to heal that. And my goal is that these women understand their worth and their value. Because if they don't understand that, it's very hard for them to teach that to their child.
A single mom has it really rough. She's got to deal with the world. She's got to interact with the world. She has to protect her children. She has to earn the money to pay the bills. She's supposed to meet all of her children's emotional and physical needs. It's practically impossible. So what happens is children are growing up in situations where they have needs that are not being met, and there's a certain amount of brokenness that is occurring. That is what they have to hand on to their children. And a lot of times, the women that come to us, that come through our door, have suffered a lot of trauma, a lot of neglect and difficulty, real poverty, not simply economic poverty, emotional poverty. There's been a poverty of love.
We always celebrate the fact that they've chosen to give their child life, but then it goes far beyond that. It's a lifetime of giving and sacrifice as a mother.
When I got into the Visitation House, I was about 3 months pregnant. Visitation House offered literally somebody to be there all the time. I don't think that there was one person there who was not just completely positive. There was the homey feeling of having girls who were going through the same situation that you are. You ate dinner together, you had classes together. Those days where we had mass, you were there together. Having that togetherness was great at the Visitation House.
Our goal is to meet them where they're at, thank them and encourage them for this heroic choice of, despite all of the difficulties, they couldn't find it in their heart to terminate this pregnancy. They have enough hope to believe that this child is something to hope for. Helping the woman and the baby at this moment has a huge impact on both of their lives and on the wider culture, because then the child's capacity to really reach their potential is much more likely.
We had a woman who was single, pregnant, and she didn't want to abort the baby, but she didn't know where she could go. At this time, she was walking into Planned Parenthood. Someone stopped her and began to pray with her and asked her specifically, if you had a place to go, would you consider not aborting? And she said yes, so they call Visitation House.
When you look at the world and you see all of the problems, where could we focus so that we can be the most effective in affecting change? In my mind, and I believe the science is behind it, we focus on the bonding of the mother and the baby, because that is going to be what ensures that the child will be capable of receiving and giving love in a way that's necessary to change the world.
If Visitation House can even just plant the seeds to start that healing and growth in the time that they're with us, there's hope for them.
It's not an easy thing to run a house like Visitation House. Just like any family, we're on a budget, and yet we're not really sure what next month's revenue is going to be. We do not receive federal or state funding, but by and large, the absolute lion's share of our funding is from individual donors. Visitation House has been in operation for 15 years, and we've helped over 275 women. And it seems a miracle to me that we're still open and we're still doing this when we've had to solicit those individual donations one at a time, essentially. I believe that what Visitation House does is hugely important for not only the women and the children that come into the house, but for our culture, for our city, for our community. And there is no way that we can stay open without the sustained support. If people could donate even a small amount every month, something that's totally manageable for them, but that will give us the opportunity to operate efficiently and effectively on a predictable, consistent revenue stream, so that we can focus on the women in the house and what they need. No one person and no one entity like Visitation House can can solve all the problems of all the women that come in the door. But we can make a difference, and we do make a difference. And when you change one woman's understanding of herself and the importance of her own motherhood, you've done a lot to change her life and her child's life.